3 new detachments for the Adepta Sororitas. Well, it's 2 new detachments and the Champions of Faith compressed with hydraulics. Like it got stepped on by a Paragon Warsuit, and that Paragon Warsuit then wandered away and had nothing more to do with it. Now we have 7 or maybe 8 detachments. That's pretty big for us. That's doubling the number of detachments we've had since the Codex. Sisters and agents toddling along on their Codex and Grotmus detachment while everyone else seemed to be drowning in choice. Oh no, should I play Gladius Task Force or this blue Gladius Task Force? I'm curious how other YouTubers view the sisters. We had been viewed as more powerful than we actually are based on the possibility of rolling 6s for all the miracle dice. I know you, the audience, will put your comments in the comment section. I think we should first talk about the rules changes that are mentioned. We will be looking into the detachments, of course, and there's a possibility that I may have figured out how Indirect Fire is going to work in 11th edition. We also know the Games Workshop is going to sell area terrain, as they said. Terrain features not sold with it. You want ruins or rocks or trees? No, that is sold separately to this, separately. These are bits of card for area terrain only. Little templates that are standard for you to construct your battlefield. They're double-sided, but we haven't seen the other side. I'm guessing grey ruins. It would be nice if it was green trees and forest. Combat Patrol is still around, but the Combat Patrol Companion doesn't mention having any Combat Patrol missions inside. I hope it has some. It says it has guidance for your first games. That is not the same thing as giving you what you need to play right now. But with the app, you can play. So we just have to wait and find out more about this app. Maybe there will be many apps. From the Armageddon launch box, the core rules, the mission deck, and the campaign deck will be sold separately. The core rules have an Ultramarine on it, can't get away from them, but I think you'll be better off trying to pick up these decks and rules second hand, as people who want the models sell off the core rules and the decks. The prices of all these is unknown. Games Workshop doesn't tell you prices because that kills your hype. You need to get super excited about it so that regardless of the price, you'll buy it. And I'm still not convinced Games Workshop is properly merging narrative and competitive into one system, because the Dominatus campaign is marked as a narrative campaign deck. Why do you need to say narrative? Why not just call it a campaign? The sisters are going on campaign, but we don't call it a campaign, we call it a crusade. So for the sisters, even when we enter 11th edition with proper rules rather than just these teasers, do not expect any unit changes, any rules changes to anything in the Codex. There will be no changes to the Acts of Faith army rule. Going from 10th edition to 11th edition is a minor transition, and the Codex works as is, presumably with existing erratas, like making the Bringers of Flame range worse. If there is any change to the units and the army rule, that will come when the 11th edition Codex is released. We have some time yet. All of the detachments that Games Workshop has told us we have are 1 DP detachments, so you can combine them with other detachments in the Codex, which are all assumed to be 2 detachment points. And as all 3 of these are 1 detachment point, you could have all 3 of them together for 3 DP, and that would be a 2,000 point army. Or you attach them to a Codex detachment. In my prediction video, I explained how the strength of each detachment could go up or down. I expect they will all be 2 detachment points, so it'll be 1 of them, plus 1 of these, and that is your 2,000 point army. Unless you want all 3 of the new ones. The first detachment is one I predicted. A jump pack detachment. Chorus of Condemnation. However, unlike my prediction, there doesn't seem to be any restriction on taking this 1 detachment point detachment and the Army of Faith. It's a good combo right there, as the Chorus of Condemnation is like a mini Army of Faith. If you don't play the Army of Faith, but want a little bit of Army of Faith in your life, well, I would just play Army of Faith. There's nothing bad about Army of Faith. I like Army of Faith. Why don't you like Army of Faith? This is Army of Faith's little sister. Chorus of Condemnation detachment rule is called Angelic Judgment. Friendly Adepta Sororitas infantry fly units have the following ability. Condemnatory Psalms. In your shooting phase, this unit can select 1 visible enemy unit within 12 inches. That enemy unit is condemned. While a unit is condemned, that unit has +3 detection range.
How does it work?
So this works by having your fly infantry, your Adepta Sororitas fly infantry, which in this case is exclusively Seraphim, and Zephyr.
I assumed they just forgot about the jump pack canoness and Celestine. It's any flying infantry. So it should work on the jump pack canoness, unless they made her support so she couldn't go alone. But I can't imagine they would make Saint Celestine support and unable to go alone. Characters are either going to be designated as leaders or support. Leaders can be by themselves, support must be with a unit. And you can have a leader and a support character in the same unit. We just don't know exactly which units, maybe only battle line units, maybe any unit that they can both join. But Celestine is also fly infantry, which is a weird phrase. I consider the Death Guard to be the fly infantry. So the way you use this detachment, you say either move very quickly 12 inches forwards, or you can use the Seraphim move, shoot, move again, because it's any time in the shooting phase you can use this, or you deep strike. Land 8.1 inches away, and in the shooting phase, you spot the enemy. It extends their detection range. Hidden, which is where you're in a ruin, and you haven't fired in this player turn or the previous player turn, those units cannot be seen unless the unit attacking them is within 15 inches. With +3 detection range, that goes to 18-inch range on that enemy unit. I assume that the presenters made a mistake in counting how that works.
And they'll have +3 to their detection range, so that 15-inch exclusion will then go to 12 inches at a minimum. There's a bunch of different other ways to interact with detection range and the hidden mechanic.
Their counting went the wrong way, and that would buff the enemy. I target this enemy, and now they're harder for me to shoot? No, I think not. 3 extra inches when you've already got 15 inches seems rather minor. I can't think of a bot. Just move within 15 inches, why not? However, if there was a time where you could only get your immolator within 17 inches and would need the extra range to see the enemy, here is the solution. Hidden has been added to the game to make it less killy, at least from range. So not everything needs to be full line of sight blocking walls with no windows and is 10 inches high. Then detection range modifiers has been added to find ways around that so that shooting armies can continue to function, with some effort put in. Combat armies can have their detachment rule about making the chainsaw teeth spin even faster. They don't care about detection range. They're happy to not shoot, stay hidden, and get into combat and kill things. The detachment rule and changing detection range can't do anything about obscured units. Those are behind area terrain. We still can't see them. This detachment makes the Seraphim and Zephyr our scouty spotter units, like the Space Marine Scouts and Phobos units. I had predicted we would get a detection range detachment, but I assumed they would give this ability to novitiates, the unit that infiltrates and is close to the enemy, like the Space Marine Scouts. Of course, we haven't seen the full detachment. We don't know all the enhancements or how many enhancements, we don't know how many stratagems there are. One of the enhancements is Clarion of Urgency. It's for a canonist with jump pack, and it's a leave and return. Uppy downy if you prefer. I say leave and return so it doesn't sound like balancing drugs and alcohol. It says at the end of your opponent's fight phase, the normal time for leave and return, if this unit is unengaged, you can place it into strategic reserves. So it will apply to her and her unit, assuming she has joined a unit. That's good for leaving and striking somewhere else. It's good for leaving so you can come back down and perform an action somewhere next turn. Or maybe spot the enemy, if you know you can't move within 15 inches of them. Between this enhancement and also the Army of Faith's Angelic Descent, we have 2 units leaving and returning with more fire. And this detachment has a little bit of Exorcist support that has been lacking in other parts of the Codex detachments. It's a stratagem, so it costs some resources to use, and in the Army of Faith I am already burning through my command points almost as fast as I burned through heretics. And that is with Canonesses and Junith generating me more command points. I do take 2 Exorcists in my Army of Faith army. Of Faith. With Harmonized Exorcism, 1 Exorcist that shoots an enemy that is visible to a flying sister within 9 inches of her, that Exorcist gets +1 to hit, effectively offsetting the benefit of cover, which is -1 ballistic skill. We're still waiting on the Indirect Fire rules proper. At the end of 10th edition, it was -1 to hit, and the enemy got the benefit of cover, which was -1 armor penetration to your attacks, and a 1, 2, or 3 to hit was automatically a miss. Maybe they all got merged into -1 to hit. And -1 to hit would stack with -1 ballistic skill from the benefit of cover, and Games Workshop doesn't seem to want to do that, as stealth is now the benefit of cover, even when not in cover.
We know being in cover is -1 to hit, and this is +1 to hit. So you could, in theory, have ignores cover as well and double up on this if you find another way.
Nowhere to hide from the Emperor's Judgment.
Exactly right. I think it's a really cool ability.
So there was something on Indirect Fire, but Adam on the right calls the benefit of cover -1 to hit instead of -1 ballistic skill. Yeah, kind of the same thing, but it's with a distinction I think is relevant here. I don't think Adam is on top form today. Like, don't take him saying exclusively Seraphim and Zephyrim means that the Jump Pack Canonus and Celestine are not making it to 11th edition, or that they lose the ability to fly. In military doctrine, Indirect Fire artillery is good at hitting areas of cover, as buildings don't move, and the missiles can home in on that. I don't expect bolt action or Conflict 47 levels of intricate rules, but if they eased off the indirect fire a little bit, that would make my Exorcists happier. I think that to make this stratagem effective and do anything, at the very least, always miss on a 1, 2, or 3 is gone. Indirect fire will be -1 to hit, and the enemy gets the benefit of cover. So essentially, -2 to your hit roll. The conflagration missiles ignore cover, but we don't take those. And if you hit the enemy with an immolator to burn out the enemy using their special rule, and hypothetically, if the rules work for indirect fire as I think they do, with this stratagem and ignore cover, the -1 to hit and the -1 ballistic skill is countered, and the Exorcist will hit on normal ballistic skill of 3+. Or, hear me out, forget all that stuff about spotting and indirect. Direct fire shoot them in the face, +1 to hit. We hit on a 2+ now. I love the Exorcist. Exorcists are really useful. Strike enemy-like vehicles. Oh, that World Eater's Hellbrute that shoots back and fights looks nasty. Have fun shooting back at the sky. Also, you're dead. Exorcists strike heavy infantry and mounted units like Squighog Boys, Scorpeth Destroyers, and Chaos Chosen. They haven't got an invulnerable save, and have multiple wounds. They're a good target for the Exorcist missile launcher, and the Exorcist cracks open rhinos for your troops to kill. You don't necessarily get your points back for the Exorcists, but with coordination, you have a good force multiplier. If I'm playing a 1000 point game, as I often do, I might take this and another 1 point detachment to have a mini Army of Faith. Or assuming Army of Faith is 2 detachment points as it should be, I could just keep playing Army of Faith. The next detachment is Sacred Champions. Here we have the restrictions. This is a Reverend detachment, and you can't combine it with other Reverend detachments. You can only invite one Reverend around for tea. I was expecting a revamped Champions of Faith, which is the detachment we got in December 2024. The other Grotmus detachments have been remade. So is it good or bad? We can't really afford to lose a detachment, we have so few. So I hope it means that Sacred Champions isn't Champions of Faith, even though it half sounds like Champions of Faith. Maybe Champions of Faith is still around outside the room and not getting mentioned. A Reverend keyword detachment, probably. If it is, then you cannot have super sacrosancts. Or Reverend may only apply to hypothetical, not yet made detachments that are coming in the 11th edition codex or a future campaign book. If this is Champions of Faith 2, or 3, because that also got massively redone so that we could actually play the game using Miracle Dice, then I'm disappointed that there's no Champions of Faith update to be seen to include Insidiants and Aveline as Celestian units. And it is concerningly possible that this detachment does just replace Champions of Faith. Champions of Faith by another name, as we have the same boost to Sacrosancts within the detachment, bonus weapon skill and ballistic skill, and there's an upgrade to boost their objective control. Faithful Fortitude stratagem, that's Shield of Denial. This is looking like Champions of Faith, but Sacrosanct units are always the righteous ones, and the only righteous ones. No Paragon Warsuits, no Battle Sisters. But other factions have detachments that are like other detachments with a little tweak. Don't lose faith. Never lose faith. They never said it would replace Champions of Faith, only that if you play Champions of Faith, it is easy to get into the Sacred Champions.
People who are already playing with the current Champions of Faith attachment are going to find just going straight into this one, the transition is going to be seamless.
Cool.
It might replace Champions of Faith. We will see. If the demon detachments are carrying over in the demon faction pack, maybe the Champions of Faith will carry over in the Battle Sisters faction pack. And we have an Of Faith detachment in the Army of Faith. A name change is not unwarranted. They also referred to this as a new detachment for the Sacrosancts.
And then Sacrosancts is heavily supported in the game now, and that is not going to change because one of the new detachments we're going to be talking about is definitely going that direction as well.
Unless the thing that you had, but cut down already, is something Games Workshop considers new. Like, hey, you know that teddy you loved? Well, he's had a leg amputation. Hope you like your new toy. Keep the faith. Did it give me Celestians with guns? No. I now dislike the detachment. You no longer need to keep faith about it. I'm skipping it. But still talking about it, just probably not playing with it much. I prefer Insidians to Sacrosancts anyway. Okay, the detachment rule. It applies to Celestian Sacrosant units, so that is any model in the unit. It didn't say Celestian Sacrosant models, so any characters will also get +1 ballistic skill and +1 weapon skill. I wish they'd written it out as +1 ballistic skill and +1 weapon skill. That would be easy to read. Otherwise, you get +1 ballistic skill and weapon skill. You get to have a weapon skill. We already had a weapon skill. Yes, okay. We know it means +1 to the weapon skill. The Palatine, the Canoness, and Junith already hit on a 2+. Shooting or combat. And the Hospitaler's combat doesn't do much. Although yesterday my Hospitaler killed 2 Chaos Possessed, finishing one with her bolt pistol and another in combat, so it isn't beyond them. And I do wonder if in 11th edition we can have Junith Erewhita leading the Sacrosancts and a Hospitaler as a support character for the Sacrosancts. -1 to be hit, -1 to be wounded, a 5+ feel no pain, and resurrection. Plus this detachment bonuses. That might be a touch expensive in points, or it might be totally worth it. The Writ of Compunction is an upgrade, rather than a straight enhancement, so it doesn't have to be applied to characters. It's any Celestian Sacrosant unit, and it says this unit has +1 objective control. As a unit bonus, it should also apply to characters, so you can have like 22 objective control. As an upgrade rather than enhancement, you don't need a character to put it on, you apply it directly to the Sacrosancts, but you should have a character with them. Junith, or a Hospitaler, or a Canoness, or a Palatine. Those are the best choices. If you really wanted, have a Dogmata with them. Objective control 3 Sacrosancts. That'll depend on the points of the Dogmata. There's also an important stratagem within this detachment, just for the Sacrosancts, called Unflinching Determination.
And then last up, you've got Unflinching Determination, and this is again another ability that really makes that unit pop.
This is the formative stratagem. This is the bee's knees. This is the one you're going to build around and you're going to have. This is one of the reasons to take this detachment, in my opinion. It's one command point to ostensibly get assault on all your Sacrosanct unit, the one you've applied this stratagem to. In addition to that, you get to advance and declare a charge and advance and shoot as well.
Effectively, the Sacrosancts move and advance and shoot and charge. We've been lacking advance and charge outside of the Penitent Host. So this could combine well with the Penitent Host. Have multiple units advancing and charging. Lash of Guilt on a Penitent unit, Unflinching Determination on a Sacrosant unit. Then you definitely have a go turn. Assuming you can't have the Sacred Champions and Champions of Faith together, if Champions of Faith are still around, this is a good detachment to pair with Hallowed Martyrs. Sacrosancts do well there. Fight on death, full rerolls to hit and wound. If you need them, you're hitting on 2. But the bonuses to wound will help if you're below half strength. You're getting better weapon skill and ballistic skill without having to take casualties. And you have the ability to advance and charge with Sacrosancts, which means you're not just waiting for the enemy to charge you and then spend 2 command points to fight on death. Okay, Sanctified Orators, the third one. And I think people are underestimating the detachment rule here. It's a character-focused detachment, so all Adepta Sororitas characters have +1 leadership. Battle Shock is going to be nastier in 11th edition, as it lasts until you either use the Dialogus staff to wave it away, or you pass a Battle Shock test in your command phase. Fail, and you stay Battle Shock until you have another go in your next command phase. +1 leadership boosts the unit the character is leading because you use the best leadership within the unit for tests. A Dialogus gets a very powerful 5+ leadership. Sure, so does the Dogmata. Stop trying to make the Dogmata work. The Canoness and the Palatine go to a 6+ leadership. We're no longer Guardsman leadership. And there's more good combos. Junith Erewhita. If you pass a leadership test, you gain a miracle dice. That became easier. In the Army of Faith, which you should be able to combine this with, there is the Litanies of Faith enhancement to get more miracle dice if you pass a leadership test. It's good stuff. Stick a faithful finger up at the Tyranids when they try and use Shadow in the Warp. The second part of the detachment rule is that enhancements selected from this detachment do not count towards the total number of enhancements you're allowed in your army. So in a 1000 point game, you can only have 2 enhancements. In a 2000 point game, up to 4 enhancements. This is not per detachment, that is total in your army. In a 1000 point game, you could have 1 from Sacred Champions and 1 from Chorus of Condemnation, or 2 from Chorus of Condemnation and none from Sacred Champions, but that is your cap. And we do know that all the detachments shown off are 1 detachment point, including the one shown off today. It makes sense that these are the specific bonus detachments to supplement your main force, which we already have in the Codex. Okay, so we can take as many enhancements as we want from this detachment. We don't know how many are on offer. It could be 4 or 6 or a different number that you thought of just now. We know that the Space Marine Librarius Conclave has 5, so expecting that every detachment has 4 enhancements to choose from, as it did in 10th edition, you gotta get with the times! The times they are a-changing. Ever so slightly. From one edition of the game to another very compatible version of the game. One of the enhancements is a very versatile upgrade to make some of your sisters a hag. Hagionumnifex. It looks really good, although we don't know the points values. As an upgrade, you can apply it up to 3 times. Any 3 characters, excluding penitent characters, and they're over 30 years old. Then once per turn, per unit, at the start of a phase you use this ability, and you select one of the abilities below. It doesn't say when this ends, so that's missing. Oh boy, I can't wait for FAQs. We can assume it lasts for the phase. You know it lasts for the phase. Probably lasts for the phase. Might not though. But if it lasts for the whole time, then, Sermon of Intolerance. Yeah, we just use that in the command phase and pass everything the enemy could throw at us. Let's assume it lasts for the phase. Okay, so let's pick Rite of Revelation. While this unit is shooting, enemy units have +6 detection range. And it seems like detection ranges can stack. We can't have 2 of our hag units use this on an enemy unit to get 27 inches detection range, because it only applies to a unit while it is shooting. Not in the shooting phase, while it is shooting. But you can combine it with your Seraphim to get an extra 3, and there's 24-inch range. Sermon of Intolerance, the unit's Battleshock rolls automatically succeed. Pass Battleshock. I'm assuming we can still use Miracle Dice on our Battleshock tests. That's a kind of unique Battle Sister thing. Other factions are like, how do I pass a Battleshock test in the fight phase? And we don't know if Insane Bravery is still around as a stratagem. It's not one we've seen, but this lets us pass any test we need to take in the phase. So usually you will use it in the command phase. The unit has +1 movement. Okay, a little bit more leg. Psalm of Righteous Smiting. This unit's attacks have +1 strength, so combat gets a bit better, shooting also better. We are back to strength 10 melters, regardless of Bringers of Flame range. Tempting, very tempting. And Chorus of Repudiation, attacks that target the unit with a strength higher than our toughness have -1 to the wound roll. We have toughness 3. Their strength will be higher. This is -1 to wound on any of our units, not just Sacrosancts. That is so very versatile to what you need. That is so very good. It will probably cost so many points that you will only take it once. But not hidden get shot, or +1 strength seem rather good. -1 to wounders, also good. Stack that with Junith Eruita, or stack it with the Army of Faith Blinding Radiance. You can be -1 to be hit and -1 to be wounded. That's a lot of extra survivability some random sisters just got. It goes with the Army of Faith because the Army of Faith likes a Dialogus and Junith and characters having good leadership. Or that enhancement. The detachment would work well with the Hallowed Martyrs, as that's a very character-focused detachment, because you have the ability to bring each one back to life 1 time. The Hag upgrade for a character so that their unit can have Strength 11 Melters and Strength 8 Ministorum Heavy Flamers in the Bringers of Flame detachment. Does Bringers of Flame seem so bad when you can have that? Oh, and +1 to wound. Oh, my strength 9 melter only wounds your toughness 10 on a 5. Well, boost that strength. +1 to wound. We're wounding on 2s. Not bad, not bad. We can't give the enhancement to penitent characters, so it's not for priests in the penitent host, but we haven't seen any other enhancements that are in this detachment or many stratagems. It's on a purely surface level. If you play penitent host, the Sacred Champions detachment looks like the best one to combine it with. I like Army of Faith, and any of these 3 detachments could go well with it. If you want to see how I have done well with the Army of Faith and Exorcist tactics, that is in a video that will help explain what the Army of Faith can do at a tournament. For other detachments, in the prediction video I also covered which detachments will do well in 11th edition. Watch that video and skip to that part. Sisters look good. Keep the faith and have a great day of 40k.